Welcome to The Victory Show.
Hey, Victors. Welcome to this episode of The Victory Show. If this is the first time you're joining us, I'm Travis Cody, bestselling author of 19 books and the creator of Bestseller by Design, where I've had the privilege of helping hundreds of business consultants, founders, and entrepreneurs write, publish their own best-selling books. And through that journey, I've discovered a fascinating pattern. Most businesses really struggle to break past that seven-figure per year mark in revenue. So on this show, I sit down with some of the world's most successful founders, CEOs, leaders, and business owners to uncover the strategies they use to scale way past that mark so that you can do the same. So get ready for some deep insights and actionable takeaways that you can implement in your life and your business starting now. Today's guest is building the next generation of customer experience powered by AI, backed by data, and built for speed. Ibby Sied is the founder of Cotera, a platform that helps companies like Built, OpenSea, and Cotera, am I saying that right? Automate insights, identify bugs before they escalate, and unify customer data into intuitive dashboards that teams can actually use. Go figure. With a degree in applied mathematics from Harvard, Ibby got his start as Peloton's first data scientist, where he scaled the global data team and rolled out production-grade machine learning systems. And now, through Cotera, he's helping brands use AI agents to close the gap between customer signals and action faster, smarter, and with fewer blind spots. And he also hosts the podcast Numbers and Narratives, where he explores how data connects marketing, product, and customer experience in the real world. So whether he's advising seed stage startups or decoding predictive models, Ibby's mission is clear. Turn raw data into clear decisions. Ibby, thanks for being here.
That's quite the intro. I didn't write that one, so whoever did, very, very good job.
That was me. It's like I know my way around a keyboard or something.
I'm incredibly impressed. That was great.
I gotta before we jump in, I gotta ask, did you know you were going to go into math from a little kid? Because applied mathematics sounds very intense to me.
Applied mathematics is one of those things where it's exactly like the reason that people get that degree is, here's a little secret. It is kind of like a nothing burger degree. There is real mathematics. Like we called it pure mathematics when I was in college. And that's you study proofs, you study proof-based mathematics. Applied mathematics is basically I don't know what to get a degree in, but I want it to sound vaguely STEMmy, but I still want to keep my options open. And that was kind of what it was. I actually ended up concentrating in statistics. So that's that's what my degree is in. But yeah, very much didn't know what I wanted to do. Knew that I wanted to do something vaguely STEM oriented. And
that's funny. So for the non-STEM version of that is psychology. I got a degree in psychology.
Yeah,
exactly, everything.
Exactly. Which is what my wife got a degree in, but then she ended up becoming a doctor. So honestly, it's fake degrees all day. But yeah, I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. Wanted to make sure that I, a good, I don't know, whoever can see I don't know if you can see my face in this, but, a good child of Asian immigrants, I wanted to impress my parents and make sure that I got something with a vague STEM background. So that's how I ended up there.
I was going to say, with a name like Ibby Sied in Nebraska.
Yeah, it's honestly, okay. So this is a pretty, where are you I actually don't know where you're recording this from.
I'm actually in Las Vegas.
You're in Las Vegas. Okay. So,
but I grew up in Utah, so it probably feels like the same demographic.
It's pretty similar. Omaha's fairly decent because I think at least at the time that my parents moved, it was a low cost of living with a high-ish number of Fortune 500 companies, so you could get a job. I don't know how true that is yet anymore, but that was definitely true back then. And that's how my parents ended up there. It's surprising. It's Omaha, the greater Omaha area is a metro area of about 1 million people.
Yep.
So it's bigger than you think, but it is very much most of the suburbs are just kind of strip mall after strip mall.
So were your parents first generation?
Yeah, so my parents came here for college.
Wow.
They lived on the East Coast for a while, and then the story my dad likes to tell is that the company he was working for got acquired, and they gave him the option to move to like just outside of LA, so Irvine, California, or Omaha. And basically like the only thing that him and my mom wanted was a house. And so they're like, oh, like how much does it cost to get a house in both of those places? And I think Omaha was like a tenth the cost
Yeah.
of Los Angeles. Or
But
like
after about 3 winters there, your mom was like, "What did we do?
What did we do?" Yeah, no. Yeah, so that was yeah, they definitely that's where I ended up. Good place to grow up, honestly. Like
Yeah.
it's very similar to a lot of the other American, like the great American suburb.
Yep.
Very much the great American suburb. Like
There's like a reason the phrase American Pie exists.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's awesome. So, all right. So you wanted to impress the parents. So did you always know like something in STEM, like some sort of technology, or were you just kind of that way when you were younger, or was math just super easy to you? So they were like, go that way.
It was vaguely STEM. Like I don't think I was like particularly good at math or anything. I just ended up I was always like a tinkerer. I think that it just kind of came a little bit more naturally to me. I'd like to say like very much like jack of all trades, master of none. I did okay at most subjects. I don't think I had a favorite. I kind of was just like pretty aggressively. I like to say aggressively mediocre. But I did always love to tinker. I always like building things. I always liked doing business. And then I took like my first day statistics class in high school. Ended up really liking it, thought it was really interesting, took a handful more in college, and that was kind of like what started it. I ended up joining Peloton pretty early. I was their first data science hire. They had like analysts and a handful of other folks on the product side, but they didn't really have like a data science team. I got hired by one of the co-founders, Graham Stanton, just very luckily while I was still in college, and ended up just working there. And what was great about Peloton and it still is it's a company that very much, at least from its ethos, focused on just making a great brand and a great customer experience, and using data to actually solve problems. So oftentimes what happens is there's this huge disconnect between business users. So think like a marketer who wants to predict churn to be able to send an email to get somebody to come back onto the platform, right? So like that's a business user's use case for a data model. Data scientist hears that, goes into a hole for 6 months, hacks up like some sort of like code thing, and then presents the code thing to the marketer who goes, what the heck am I supposed to do with this? Like, what do you want me to do with this? Like, I want to send some emails. What am I going to do with this random like series of code blocks that you gave me? And that was always like something that Peloton strived to, which was, you know, your customer is like the business person. And so we got to build a lot of really interesting things there that bridged that gap between all of the data that the company had and actually solving problems for customers, and actually solving problems for business. And that was kind of the impetus for Cotera. So
that was, well, and I was going to say, what's interesting is for Peloton, that's like almost the opposite of what not only just kind of the startup space is, but especially the high end fitness space.
Yeah.
Right. It's like we're doing the thing and you're going to like it. So I really find that fascinating. I had a conversation. I'm sure you're familiar with this. I had this conversation a couple of months ago, but just like the idea of the founder of DoorDash made it so that the programmers and engineers had to spend an 8-hour shift doing customer service every month.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, had a bunch of engineers quit and everybody was mad. But then the engineers, when they got there and were getting all the customer support tickets, they're like, what do you mean? And then he's like, this is what the thing your building's doing. And it wasn't until they were like, they didn't get it from the user perspective because they were also enamored with like the tools and the bells and the whistle and what it could do, but then nobody knew what to do. So
I think a high degree of customer empathy is like, I think it's like one of the most important things that you could have. We actually we not only work with customer experience teams, but we've actually kind of expanded beyond that into using these AI agents to, you know, help product teams, help sales teams, help a bunch of other types of teams within businesses really like listen to their customers, use these agents, use their data in a smarter way. And it is just really, really interesting how much information is present within an organization's verbatim data, right? So like think customer support tickets, think product reviews, think like transcripts from sales calls, right? Like you can really, you can really take that information and really utilize it to make faster decisions, make better decisions, really listen to your customers. I always like to say that engineering teams are a very finite resource that is quite expensive. And so if you're going to use, if you pay, I mean, let's run some math here. If you're paying an engineer, $250,000 a year, that person works, 52 weeks for 40 hours, you're paying basically $120 an hour per engineer. And so, what if you're going to solve if you're going to solve a problem, if you're going to set a roadmap for your business for what to build or what to fix, what is going to get you the maximum ROI on an engineer's time? And most businesses, they have a really, really high level approach to setting a roadmap that's very, very long-winded. And what we find more and more people are doing is they're looking at what customers are saying, what customers are complaining about, what customers are, putting out there on Reddit as like a value prop is what these teams are taking in, analyzing with AI, and then using that to actually like make decisions on what to build and what to
So
fix.
how long were you working with Peloton before the idea for Cotera started to kind of form?
About 3 years.
Yeah.
It was like about 3 years. We started and we did YC and we kind of pivoted around a little bit, but yeah, we basically did like data consulting for like the first year of Cotera's life, until we really realized, hey, like there's actually a thing in this like turning. And it was around the time that ChatGPT was becoming a thing. A lot of people were trying to make sense of their qualitative data, and that was kind of one of the only ways of doing it. And so that's where we started.
Wow. So walk me through then. Let's just did the first year of Cotera. So you were with Peloton. Were you building Cotera kind of on the side while you're still there, and then jumped off, or and when did you get to the point where you're like, oh man, you got to make the choice of which one you're going to continue down with?
That's yeah, the story is a little bit interesting. This was like definitely just the ZERP era to some extent. Like I was at Peloton. I knew kind of what we like. I knew how to do my job pretty well, but I don't know. You get good at a thing and you can kind of continue it. And I would use my off hours because it was still COVID time, right? I was still working from home. There was not really a ton going on. And so in the evenings, on the weekends, I would be hacking on different ideas, different things. I also was actually a part-time like investor at a venture fund. And so I would meet a ton of startups doing that.
Wow.
And between those two, there was really this like key understanding that, Peloton had this issue where people were trying to use data to actually make decisions, but couldn't. And there are a ton of other people that were trying to do the same thing in the space where it's all of my data is in a data warehouse, some sort of system to make sense of that data. And then I want to pass that data into an external system where a business user can use it. So hark back to my like example for the marketing team, all of our user data was in the data warehouse. The marketer wanted to figure out like, who do I email? And the key there was we had to develop some sort of model to take in that user data and say, hey, is this user doing good? Are they performing, the way we expect on the product, or is their product usage going down? And, that's a very simplistic way of putting it. Now, when you think about it, Travis, I assume you use ChatGPT in your off time.
Been known to play around with some chats.
Exactly. Like I could give you a huge code block that takes some data and exports a number. Or what you could do is you could go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm going to give you how much a user used our product 5 months ago, how much our user uses our product today, and how much a good user uses our product. I want you to score the user that I give you on a level from 1 to 5. You tell me, 5 being great, 1 being bad. And suddenly, like, you've taken this thing that took 6 months before to create a perfect model and, made a sort of hacky version of it.
Yeah.
And that was what we were doing, is connecting people's data to these models, for, at least at the beginning, exporting a number and then using that to,
Wow. So when you got started, did you bootstrap, or did you know somebody that put a little startup funding into you, or was that all out of pocket?
My co-founder, the way I found him was he actually had just gotten into YC. I had met him trying to invest in YC companies. I met him, joined him very, very soon after I left Peloton. I left the venture fund. And then we raised a little bit of money coming out of that, and we've raised a little bit more money since.
So walk me through what that first year looked like for you guys then. You've left Peloton. Were your parents like, what are you doing?
They were honestly like very, very supportive. I went to them. I had like a handful. I was definitely sure it was time to leave Peloton. I had a handful of job offers. Again, ZERP era. Like I could have gone and become an investor full time. I could have gone and done the Peloton thing again, which was like join a small company, ride it till IPO, ride it till like growth. It's a good financial outcome for somebody who's in like their early 20s if you can do that properly. If you can do that twice, it's not a bad place to be. Or it was this like mystery of go and start a company and see what you can do with it. And I did that. Like I took the third option. My parents were very supportive. My family, my then girlfriend, now wife, was very supportive of it. And it was, the first year was just us. We had a thesis. We emailed people. We very much, YC teaches you, and a lot of like sort of incubators teach this, is like one person builds, one person does marketing and sales. And that was what we did. We like cold emailed tons and tons of people a day. We used part of that money to hire an intern. That intern was a sophomore at the time. She recently joined us full time, which is awesome, as an engineer of all things. So she was helping us write cold email. We were just emailing people, talking to them about what we were building, talking to them about what we were doing. And that was it. We had a thesis. We pitched it to people. We said, hey, we'll do this for you for really cheap. Sometimes we said we do it for free. Don't do that. Like, people, if you say you'll do something for free, everyone will take you up on it. You don't actually know if you've got real market demand. Don't make that mistake. And that's what we did. We did that for a year. And then we found a handful of people that kept asking us for the same thing, which was, hey, I have all this customer ticket data. I need to make sense of it. Can your AI like read our customer tickets and categorize them and pass the data back into our support system so that we don't have to have, our human agents spend a lot of time doing manual ticket categorization? And we were like, sure. Okay. And then we were off to the races, and that was what started our new agentic platform.
Wow. So, I mean, what a novel concept. People are asking for something, and enough people are asking for something, and you're like, maybe we should build what people are asking for.
Yeah.
What a brilliant concept. So now today, so how old is Cotera now?
2.5 years.
And what's your team size now?
About 11 people.
Wow. That is fantastic. All right. So, when you get on the Cotera website and you look at it, a lot of it is like this whole, idea of like AI agents and what that means. So I work with a lot of people that are very successful entrepreneurs. AI is moving so fast. Most people are getting overwhelmed and confused.
Oh, yeah.
So let's walk through a little bit about what an AI agent actually is and why that's such a big deal, especially for, let's say, mid-sized businesses making $1 million to like $5 million a year.
Yeah, of course.
I guess that'd be a small business, but
yeah, I mean, it depends on who's like bootstrapped. Great, like that's a great place to be. It all depends on the timing that you're in. Yeah, let's focus on a very specific use case. I'll put myself into like a salesperson shoes, and specifically, Travis, I'll try to put myself in your shoes. There are probably constantly, people talking on LinkedIn and talking on Reddit about, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a VP, I'm some person who has done something, I want to write a book. How do I do it? Right? That is something that you are one of the best people in the world to go to and ask for and get advice on and get help from, right? Now, you are I don't know how big your team is, but if you're starting this business from scratch, you're saying, hey, I want to go out and I want to talk to founders or that want to write books. I want to find them where they are. They're most likely talking about this on LinkedIn or Reddit. Okay, I want to create an AI agent. Now, there's a lot out there, right? The most of humanity is going on to something like a chat GPT and speaking to it like it's a search tool, right? That is kind of like how we interact with AI, how most people interact with AI is through this like chatbot interface. And so maybe you'll start with saying, hey, like what subreddits should I go to? Or who should I go to on like, who are these people, who are people on LinkedIn that I should maybe talk to? And you'll see the chat GPT thing do a little bit of, it's a cursory amount of research. And it'll like respond and say, hey, these are probably good subreddits that you should go try, right? And you'll say, okay, cool. And then you'll spend a few hours a day probably scrolling those subreddits, reading what people are putting on there, and then responding in the chat whenever somebody says, hey, I'm looking for help writing a book. Does anyone have any advice? You can say, hey, my name's Travis. I have this cool podcast. I have all these 19 books. You should go check it out. By the way, PM me if you need any help, right? And you're just doing this manually. Now, you can upgrade that process with what's called workflow automation. So you think Make.com, Zapier, N8N. These are not agentic products. These are workflow products. You can have them talk to an AI and they can, do some AI capabilities, but they do not make their own decisions. And so that makes them a workflow product. So then you can say, okay, I want to automate this process a little bit. I don't want to be notified unless there is actually I have my list of subreddits. I go through them every single day and I respond to these. I want to automate a portion of that, which is the sourcing. Now, you can set N8N to go visit, you can pull an RSS feed basically of all of those subreddits every single day. And you can pass it to like a Claude API or something and say, hey, here's like 10,000, here's all of today's posts, put it into memory, return me the ones that you think are good. And it'll do that for you once a day. And then you don't have to now scroll. You've saved yourself like a few hours a day. What makes that truly agentic is and this is kind of where I come to is we operate on three core primitives. One is the prompt. You should not have to wire any API calls or any blocks or anything together. If you want something to be truly agentic, it has to have a single point of input, which is a prompt that has all of the information that the AI needs to be able to do its job. The second part is you need to give that AI access to very, very specific tooling. We actually at Cotera we're not huge fans of MCP. I know MCP is all the rage on the internet these days, but I do not want to give my AI access to the kitchen sink. I don't want to authenticate with Slack and have it be able to read all the messages. And because what'll happen is if I'm running that AI 10,000 times, it'll probably mess up 2 of those times, but it might mess up very, very crucially. So I want to give it very specific actions. You can go read a Reddit thread. You can go make a Google search. You can go do these things. I will give you a specific set of tools to do. So now I have a prompt and I have a specific set of tools. And then 3 is access to data. What data do you need? Whether that's data to be able to make a decision or data like a spreadsheet to be able to run through. The most important ones are the first 2 though, the prompt and the tools. And so now what I've done is I've said, hello, Mr. AI agent, you are now alive. I have given you access to run a Google search and go visit Reddit. I want you to every 10 minutes, and I've given you access to like a Google sheet, right? I'm going to make you run off of a Google sheet. What I want you to do is I want you to every 5 minutes run a handful of searches on Google, figure out if anyone has posted anything on Reddit, anything, just search for founders that are looking for founders that are looking for help writing books. I don't care what subreddit it is. Here are some that you should explicitly check, but I want you to check all of Reddit, and I want you to use Google as the search engine. And then I want you to dump all of the resulting threads that you think are good inside this Google sheet. And I've given it access to do a Google search, pull a Reddit thread, and add to a Google sheet. But crucially, I have not wired together a bunch of disparate API calls. I have just done it through a prompt. And that is an agent, because it can make decision-making power, and it has the ability to route itself its own way, use tools in whatever method it thinks is feasible, and use whatever underlying model provider it wants. I've been monologuing, and I hate it when people monologue on my podcast.
No, I'm so like what you're sharing with me. I was like, no one's ever explained it that way before. Normally, I have tons of questions, but right now, my brain, I'm just listening, and I was like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that either. I didn't know that either.
And that's how we think about it.
So let's back this up then and go. Okay, from your perspective, again, taking like a basic business of, I don't know, 15 employees or less. What are three critical ways they should be using agents in their business right now that most businesses just aren't?
This is a really good question. The three top ones. This is, and let's say that this is like a B2B business. I think one of them is just definitely outreach. Like, I don't think that we should be like performing AI slop. I don't think we should be like spamming people or doing anything like that. But like, you actually outreach to me from somebody on your team, right?
Yep.
One thing that somebody like that should be doing, and there are other companies that are good at this, like Clay is another one, is doing lead scoring, right? Hey, I have this list of maybe the people that you want on the podcast is every single Series A plus founder, right? So I want to target everyone who has at least raised a Series A. Sales and outreach is number one. Create an agent that does lead scoring and figures out who your top prospects are based on what you care about. So that every time you sit down and record a 45-minute podcast, it's with someone who like really matters. That's probably one. Outreach and sales is a no-brainer. Second is customer success and customer support specifically. Your customers are constantly asking questions. Your customers are constantly asking for help. Develop some sort of system, whether that's in Slack or whether that's on your customer support channel, that takes all of the simple things and all of the simple questions and answers them automatically for customers, so that your customer support people can spend time doing what actually matters, rather than if you're an e-commerce platform, for example, rather than you're probably going to get please cancel my order or where's my order request 10 times a day. You can easily build an AI agent that looks up that information whenever a query like that comes in, so that your customer support agents can focus on the things that actually matter. Hey, I got this product and it made me sick. Please help me, right? Those are the people that you want to spend the most time with, not the ones that are asking a very simple query. So that's most likely number two. And number three is brand. And marketing. There are tons and tons and tons of places. There's tons and tons of whether that's sit on top of all of my customer calls and generate a case study from each one automatically and send it to get approved by the customer after every call. A customer will oftentimes drop what they found valuable in a conversation. Have an AI agent use Gamma to generate a very custom case study and just submit it to the customer and say, hey, we actually generated this case study, is it okay if we post it on our website? 9 times out of 10 I'm sure they'll say yes. If they're happy with the product, then they'll say yes. Use that as free marketing, right? Use that to generate content to put on social. Use that to generate ads. That's really, really important. I don't know, those are just three that come to mind immediately.
Those are all very, very simple. So if somebody has not started using agents in their business yet, where do they start? Do they come to somebody like Cotera, or are you guys very specifically focused on a particular type of business?
We are not. The way that I would try doing it is, I think a lot of people are, I think a lot of people come to us to try to automate the wrong thing. Like a lot of times, like we say no to customers more often than we say yes, because it's a bad implementation of AI. And I don't blame the customer for this. Like, you would be surprised the amount of time somebody who sits on like a product team that comes to me and says, "Hey, I want AI to analyze all my data and tell me like stuff. Like we want it to like figure out why like our churn numbers are high." And it's like, dude, like that is something AI is going to be really bad at. Like, you should not use AI because you have a lot more context than AI ever will. It's not going to be able to it's not going to be able to tell you how to like make your bad business into a good one. That is something that only you can do. What you need to do is you should remove the repetitive task load that you have in your head, right? Like there are things that I like to call TV problems, where like you can do the work while you're still watching TV. You should try to remove that. Like, take the things that are repetitive, point and click. I'm doing the same process over and over and over again. It takes me half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. You know, like generating a one pager for all of my customer calls. At like, each customer success person will take a call. They'll have to like update the CRM. They'll have to write a one pager. They'll have to write a follow-up email and send it to the customer. Automate like 99% of that work, so that the one pager is done by the time the call is finished. The CRM is updated with the tasks. The Asana board is updated with the tasks. And you have the email drafted so you can proofread and say, okay, cool, this is great. Let's hit go. Like, that's the kind of thing that you need to think about, that you want to automate.
I love that. What are your TV tasks? If you can watch Netflix while you're doing it, that's the first thing that needs to get off your plate.
Exactly. Focus on your Netflix, right? Like, don't work from the hours of 7 to 9. You don't need to do that. Like there's all these things that we leave toward the end of the day, and we do when we have the minimal amount of time. Just take the downtime. Like, or if you want to, like, be more effective.
That's not American culture. I must be hustling all the time.
Yeah, listen, you live in Vegas, I live in New York. Like, if you're not working, if you're not 996ing, what the hell are you doing? You know?
So what, like, from where you're sitting and what you're involved in, like, especially let's keep it short, right? The next 5 years, what's got you super excited with where agents are and where you think we're going to be with them in 5 years?
I think we're at the beginning. Like, I think that we're very, very much at the impetus. I think that like a lot of people have tried doing a lot of things in house and they haven't worked. I think what we're starting to see is like, we're starting to see these businesses emerge that are hyper specific use cases of AI. I think that similar to how somebody ate a good chunk of this market, I think that there is space for a more generalist product that anyone that can write in any language, it doesn't even have to be English anymore, can easily just explain what they want to a bot, give it access to things, and have it like save them a significant amount of time per day. And the thing that I'm excited about is people actually like going past this, what can I do with AI, and into actually like exploring and making things and starting it. And we want to be at the forefront of helping actually educate people and teach them and make it really easy to just get started, right? Like, I have something I want to automate. Like, a great example of the Reddit thing that I was talking about earlier, we actually have a bot that goes through all of the common subreddits. And whenever someone says something like, hey, I'm trying to use AI in my business, how do I do it? It notifies me so I can go write and be a part of that conversation. The biggest question that people have is like, how do I prompt? How do I actually use this? How do I get ROI from this? We start to go from the how to the, okay, cool, I'm now doing it. And we want to kind of be at the forefront of that for people.
So who is sort of your your ideal client? Like, who's the company that you guys can just knock it out of the park for?
Fast growing companies that are Series B plus.
Series B plus. That's fantastic.
Fast growing Series B plus companies.
So if somebody is listening to the episode, or they're reading a chapter in the book, like, and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Where's Ibby been my whole life? Where do they go to find you?
Here, there's two places you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm just linkedin.com/in/Ibby. That's I, B as in boy, B as in boy, Y. Or you know what? You can also you can text me. Send me a text, 402-468-8492.
Wow, dropping this phone on the call. Way to go.
There you go.
And if they want to, let's talk a little bit about your podcast, the numbers and numbers and narratives. What is that?
Narratives. And Travis, we need to have you on as a guest.
All right, I'll come and do it.
I've said a lot about myself. I need to hear more about how you got started and learn more about you.
So what do you guys cover in numbers and narratives? Just how to use data
and AI to further your business. That is the actual very, very simple premise. We have people that are marketers. We have people that are product managers. We have customer experience, customer support. We don't care who you are. If you are using AI and data in a clever way to improve some portion of your business or some creative business of some kind, we want to hear from you. We would love to hear your story. We'd love to. It's part of our whole brand ethos. Please reach out to me. I think it's Ibby at numbers and just do Ibby at Cotera, Cotera.co.
So for you as the founder, where do you hope Cotera, like what's your vision for Cotera? Say we roll into 2030, where do you hope you guys are at, or where do you envision you guys being?
Our biggest metric that we track is human time saved. How much time have we saved for our customers? And we are currently sitting at something like, I think, 80 million hours.
Nice.
Basically what we've done is we take every Cotera agent and we assign it sort of like, hey, how much time would it take a human to do this task? And then we basically just calculate all the runs. And we have saved about 80 million hours of human times. In the next 5 years, I want to get that number to 5 billion. I want to say 5 billion human hours. And that's where I want to be. I think that the maximum ROI that we get from these AI agents is human time saved. And my goal for the next few years is to get us to 5 billion hours.
I think that's the title of your first book.
5 billion.
5 billion hours. How AI is going to revolutionize humanity and save you time.
Well,
there you go. We get that one for free.
You and I have to have another conversation on how I actually write a book because I don't know anything about it. So
that's fun. I know a guy. So, Ibby, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're a busy guy. What a fantastic journey, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with Cotera.
Thank you so much for having me on, Travis.